Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on 790 The Bet. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and Wally Hatchett's Comfort Food and Drinks at 6439 Summer Avenue.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray as we roll into our 21st year in the air here in Memphis, Tennessee on AM 790. And all you good folks in Brownsville and Jackson throughout West Tennessee. And who knows, somebody else might know who this next person is if they're anywhere near Kentucky Lake or Camden. And Bill Cooksey, you're our guilty person. You're the partner in crime. How about you introducing this next guest?
I am proud to, Larry. This next guest, I mean, if you know much about Kentucky Lake, you'll recognize the family name. And if you watch Bassmaster and pay attention, you'll recognize him too, because so far this year he's been on 4 of the 6 winning boats running a camera. So he shows up in a lot.
Yeah, that's on the Elite Series too.
On the Elite Series, yes. Right. And in addition to that, and this guy's name's Jake Latendresse, and Jake lives now in Fort Collins, Colorado, but he has a successful video production company, and that's kind of where Jake and I work-wise overlap. He's done some work with me at Vanishing Paradise, and back in the day at Avery Outdoors and Rich and Tone Calls, and now he's filmed in over 49 countries, which is just an amazing thing.
Yes.
So we're proud to have Jake Latendresse on today. Jake, how are you doing this Saturday morning?
I'm doing well, Bill, and everyone else. Thank you for having me on.
Well, we appreciate you. Busy time. I know it is for you, and you want to get back in another boat and win again. I know, I guess they're drawing straws to make sure who gets you in the boat, but it's been quite a career, Jake. I mean, goodness gracious. Tell your roots out of Camden, your family roots in the pearl industry and things along that line. Living the dream, an artist who was drawing, and all of a sudden, let's do some camera work, and you still like that still photography, also part of this. So tell us, this is really, I guess, if you tried to encompass what's happened to you, it's pretty amazing. So talk about from Camden to where you are now.
Whew, that's a long way from home now.
Isn't it, though? Yes.
It is, and yet so close, because, you know, Camden is still near and dear to my heart. Kentucky Lake, I'm very proud, particularly now as a professional cameraman for the Bassmaster Elite Series. I'm very proud to tell people that I was born and raised on Kentucky Lake, and
yes,
like you said, my dad was a pearl farmer there, but even more importantly and relevant to my career now, you know, he was an outdoorsman, and he was an avid outdoorsman. And I remember one time when I was a kid, I think I just told Bill this story the other day, and he might have been the very first person that I ever told this story to. But when I was a kid, I started duck hunting when I was 3 years old. And I remember one time when I was maybe 5 or 6, my dad woke up and didn't wake me up. He went duck hunting. He found a dry cornfield that wood ducks were dry feeding in, and he came home with his limit of wood ducks. And this was way back when the first early wood duck season was integrated into the teal season, so it was a new thing back then. But I remember walking outside when my dad pulled up into the driveway, and he pulled 4 beautiful Drake wood ducks out of the back of the 1969 Bronco, and I just started crying.
Oh, man.
And my dad looked at me and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I wanted to go with you." And as I recall, my dad said, "Son, I can see what this means to you, and I can promise you I'll never go hunting without you again." And I can assure you that he never did.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
you know, that's what this means to me. That's what the outdoors means to me. That's what I do as a father in trying to instill these outdoor activities and lifestyle to all 3 of my children, particularly my son, who seems to be eating up with bass fishing now.
There you go. Yeah. I'm sure he wants to be in your boat, too, probably. I mean, you know.
He does.
But,
he does.
Well, it's an amazing career, and I've kind of studied up on a lot of this, Jake. And before we talk about the recent success and what it means, I I found a couple of stories in there about you and a horse in the British Columbia or Alaska or someplace where you got your leg crushed and barely made it. Had so much recovery time during this. Was that a time that you thought maybe you not be able to do what you do?
I probably didn't think that way. I was thinking that this was going to hinder my career in a way that there was going to be some other opportunities that came up during my recovery period, and I wasn't going to be able to accept a job.
Oh.
But I was really looking forward to healing up as quickly and as
pretty amazing.
As well as possible so that I could get back on the road and continue doing. I mean, those things happen, and there was nothing I could do about it.
No.
Everything, considering the circumstances, went the right way. I've healed up since then, and probably been to 25 states and 5 or 6 countries since then. So it's all good.
And you've also been shot by Bobby Lane, I understand. I mean,
Lee Livesey did that to me a couple of days ago at Lake Fork. He hit me
what?
with a
Yet?
Bobby Lane hit me with a 1.5 ounce jig in those deep mats at Ross Barnett years ago.
Yes.
And it actually knocked me down in the boat. And then just on Sunday with Lee Livesey in his boat, he had hooked up and his rod was fully loaded on about a 6-pounder. And I turned to go tight on the fish because it had surfaced. And as soon as I got to the fish and racked the focus, the hair jig popped out and came. I could hear it coming like a bullet, and it hit me right in the abdomen, literally at the same latitude as the Bobby Lane scar is, and now I've got a double bruise.
A double bruise. So don't tell me it's cameramen.
And that happens,
yeah,
too.
That don't really have a rough life and things, but what you've been through. But this recent streak, talk about it. And, Bill, I know that you know Jake as well as anybody, but being on the boat for
Steve
4
Bowman
out of
and
6.
I were talking about it the other day. So,
do what?
Steve Bowman and I were talking about this streak the other day, and both just shaking our heads.
So talk about the streak now.
Well, I don't know how to explain it because the draw, the assignments that we get from studio, our director, really is somewhat random. They do try to match us up with people that they know are going to be comfortable with in their boat,
right?
Because the chemistry is not always there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the things that started me in sort of a rotation with certain anglers was my mother is Japanese, so I'm half Japanese. And years ago, on Wheeler Lake on the Tennessee River, Takahiro Omori was leading the event after 2 days. So they put me in his boat on day 3 and day 4, and he ended up winning that event. And they put me in his boat because I could speak a little Japanese, and I could help facilitate a little bit more emotion and drama from Tak during that time, and it worked out really well. So, they started putting me with other people like Taku Ito and Daisuke Aoki, and then, I have a relationship with Jason Christie from a cameraman to angler circumstance, and Lee Livesey, Brandon Polinick. I mean, the list goes on. So I can't really explain the winds and how I end up in these boats because as suspicious as it looks, it really is pretty doggone random.
It is.
And this year, I mean, the icing on the cake really is the fact that on most of the winds that I've been on with John Cruz and Lee Livesey and Jason Christie and Drew Cook, I've been pretty much wire to wire with them, which even to go wire to wire in one event, I've been doing this for 12 years now, and I can count on one hand how many times I've been wire to wire with an angler. So it's all really very surreal, but it's a lot of fun, and I really don't want it to stop.
Yeah, and we've had every one of those.
Yeah, we've had every one of those winners on the show, and I think Cooksy's been every one of them. Said you better talk to Jake.
Yeah,
really. I mean, let's forget talking to these guys that won, but
yeah, that's cool, and that's hard work. Too.
Yeah, and I know Bill. Your thoughts on Jake and his career, Bill? I know because you guys have known each other a long time.
Larry, Jake's one of those people that when he comes into your life, you realize you've met somebody special. And I didn't realize it quick. For a little bit, I thought, man, this guy's too sincere to be real. But it turns out he really is that guy. And, I mean, his energy. I mean, we just spent 6 days driving around the Everglades together in a trip that was absolute chaos and nuts. I mean, with fishing, interviewing, python hunting, all of that stuff. And it was a blast. I can't imagine wanting to have done that trip with anyone else.
Well, it helps that he went to UT, Bill. Okay, yeah, I didn't know if you were ever going to mention it, Bill. Come on. We got 2 minutes in the show, and you hadn't said it yet. So
hey, I'm trying to be reformed.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Well, Jake, we appreciate you taking time, buddy, to be with us. Continued success. A lot of folks know you in this area, and we drove throughout West Tennessee, and thanks for being with us on the short notice, and keep going because Lee was pulling for you to get him next week. When we talked to him after Ross Burnett, he said, I'm going to win at Lake Fork. Are you going to get Jake with you again? Yeah. So, anyway. All right, Jake. Have a great weekend, buddy, and thanks for talking with us, okay?
Yep. Thank you guys so much, and West Tennessee will always be home to me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jake. All right, let's take a break. Right. We're going to wrap up this show on Outdoors with Larry Ray. Now, I can't get the guitar back right. Get ready. Right. We're going back to TWRA. We're going to get a pun from the pun master before he leaves, and then we'll find out. We'll be right back.